Okay, so now you're knitting in the round and you have your right side facing you, so you can see the V's from the knits as opposed to the bumps from the purls, which are on the other side. When you're adding another strand of color, you just leave the loose end hanging, and you have the side that goes to your ball is the side you're going to work, leaving the free end hanging. You continue to knit just as if you had always been knitting that color, just leaving the free end hanging. You'll work it in at the end. And you just proceed to knit with the second color for the strand. If you're working between the two different colors, you then drop the second color and just pick up the first color again and continue to knit. You'll see that on the wrong side you will then be carrying a loose strand of the color in the back. You want to make sure that's loose or else it will pucker your work at the end. If you get confused and you have your work inside out, and so when you're sitting there looking at it, it appears to all be wrong side, that's still okay, but if you start working it backwards, so if your working yarn is on your left hand needle instead of your right hand needle, and you start working it backwards, regardless of which color you use, I'll show you using the white so it's really obvious what happens. If I'm knitting using the wrong color, first of all, it'll be hard to do because the yarn will be in the wrong darn place. Once I do that though, and start knitting back, as you can see I'll be going back across the same stitches I just did as opposed to continuing around in the circle. And as I do this, I will be knitting purls and knits in the wrong places so that this will appear to be knitting it. It'll be knitting wrong side as opposed to right side. So as I go through, this row of knitting you will now see appears on the purl side because I've picked up the yarn and gone backwards as opposed to continuing in the same circle. And as you'll see, the correct side of the work now has a row of purls. The solution for this is just to tink back and undo it. So when you look at this right here, you can see where the yarn is going through. You just pass the needle the same in under there like that, going backwards the opposite way of the yarn. Put your needle back through into the knit position and unwrap. And pull out and just undo each knit stitch. So you push through from front to back this way and then unwrap like that. And you can just slowly tink back each stitch that you made a mistake on until you have no more mistakes. And when you have no more mistakes, you'll figure it out because your yarn will be suddenly, instead of on this needle, which was the incorrect needle, it'll be back on the correct needle. So again, you can see here that this is coming through. I'm going to go in from front to back and then pass this needle from front to back and unwrap. Pull through, and this is our last stitch to tink. And pull through. And now you'll see where I got turned around because our working yarn should always be on the right hand yarn, not the left hand. So now I know that I've accidentally gone backwards or else my working yarn wouldn't be on the left hand needle. So then I can drop this, switch hands, and now my working yarn is back on the right hand needle where it should be. Both of my working yarns are on my right hand needle, and then I can continue to proceed to knit correctly and not make another mistake.